What's up, beautiful people? It's your girl, the Glow Coach here, and I'm here with another amazing episode of the Biz and Breakthroughs podcast. And today I have a very special guest. I'm very excited to introduce her. Her name is Stacy Reed. She's the owner of Stacy Zeal & Co. She is a Facebook guru. So I'm telling you now, early in the episode, pull out your pen and paper and get ready to take some notes, okay? Now, you all know I never do enough justice for my guests when I introduce them, so I am going to let her take a moment to tell you guys about herself, what she does, what she's all about, and how she can support you. What's up, Stacy?
Hey, yes, what's up? What's up? Thank you so much for having me. I am super excited to be here. So my name is Stacy. I am a Facebook ads expert. I am also a fractional chief marketing officer. And so my zone of genius is really helping CEOs that are looking to grow their businesses understand how to bring all of their marketing pieces together so that they work really as a cohesive strategy, and then really figuring out how do we take what we're doing to the next level with Facebook ads, with Facebook and Instagram ads. I used to work at Zappos, so I led paid social there. And so I've generated $150 million leading paid social efforts for some e-commerce brands like Zappos, Crocs, Uggs, Adidas, Nike, all of these different really top brands. And so I got to work directly with Facebook and have them tell me how to do the strategy, how to set things up. And so I take all of that knowledge and also pair it with my 11 years of marketing experience and marketing knowledge of working at different kinds of brands of all sizes, small brands, large brands, and really bringing that together to help my clients to understand what does it take marketing wise to really take your business to the next level? And how do we do that in a way that is not extremely taxing on our energy, right? Like it's about getting off of that constant hamster wheel of posting 17 reels a day and trying to figure out how to scale that when you really can just start infuse some advertising into your business, and that will dramatically help to take your business to the next level.
I love that. Talk about a hamster wheel. I'm already like doing everything possible to figure out how to bulk create my content because it does get exhausting. And when I talk to my clients, that's like a big thing for them. They like, listen, Coach Steph, the content ain't doing what it need to do, you know? And I've heard from
Yeah.
other people before about the power of Facebook ads, but I really want to hear from you on how do you feel running Facebook ads can benefit someone who is really trying to reach their six-figure income goals? I know you mentioned not burning out creating content. In my opinion, not being so dependent on the algorithm because it's constantly
Mm-hmm.
changing. And I don't know
Yeah.
how Facebook ads, like their ability to really be effective fluctuates with, the mood of Facebook and Instagram and what they have going on. But I would love to hear how you feel someone can benefit from running a Facebook ad.
Yeah, it's such a great question. And honestly, like what I when I think about Facebook ads, and the analogy that I like to use is that it's like adding gasoline to a fire. And so if you have something that's working in your business and you really need to figure out how do I get this on a larger scale? And like even, thinking about the content that we're creating, like that content hamster wheel that we're talking about, it's like, as marketers, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, we do have to create a lot of content. But then sometimes if you think about, like, I know I think about my business and like I've created my podcast weekly, my podcast roadmap to 1 million stuff, I post content weekly, but then there are episodes that really start to take off. And then there are some episodes that are kind of like, they're good episodes, they get downloads, but they're not taking off as much as some of these other episodes. And so for me, I take that as a signal like, okay, this is something that people are really interested in. However, one thing we have to realize is that with our marketing, it's really is a balance of nurturing our existing audience and then also getting in front of new people. And so if you're creating all of this content and you're finding that you have certain episodes of your podcast or certain blog posts or certain lead magnets that are really, really driving a lot of, leads and sales for your business, the next step really is to take that content and put it on a bigger stage. And so that's what you can do with Facebook ads. Like you can take your blog posts that are generating a lot of affiliate income, for example, and get a lot more people into it. You can take your podcast episodes and run ads to it, and you can increase your downloads and get more people into your funnel or more people to check out what you're doing. And so that's really how I see someone can benefit. Like if you're trying to get to that six figures, or even if you're at that six figures and you're trying to get to that next level, it really is about Facebook ads really can come in and take what you're doing and just put it on a larger stage. Because if you think about Facebook users, like, people, these are actual people on Facebook. I think that sometimes we kind of miss that with advertising. It's like, I'm paying, Facebook to amplify my message. But really what you're doing is paying Facebook to put your message in front of more people that are just not connected to you through that organic algorithm, right? Like whether you have a business page or you're using your personal page as a professional page, or like, to talk about your business, you're going to tap out on the amount of people that you can reach organically. Like that's just how the algorithm works. But really, like the way that you kind of move past that is by investing in advertising. It is by taking your best messages and putting it on a larger stage. So that's definitely how I see, we can benefit from it as we're growing to six figures or even getting past that six figures. It's like just taking all of the stuff that you've done that people have not, that these new people just haven't seen yet, right? And just put it in front of them and let them consume that content. So it really like keeps us from having to create, but it also helps to make sure that the things that we do create do get the amount of life that we think that it should get, or continues to get life. Because you can run ads to blog posts, to lead magnets, to webinars, to all these things that are just consistently converting for you. And you're just always getting new people in front of you, into your funnel, and into your marketing ecosystem. So it's definitely a great way to take what you're doing and just really put it on a bigger stage.
Yes, that's so good. I always scream from the mountaintops that visibility is really our responsibility. And I went to a team meeting last night, and for one of my clients to meet with her team to do some coaching for them. And I was telling them that, like, it is our responsibility to put ourselves in front of people. Like, God tells us that He'll turn the ears and eyes of the people, but He can't turn them to something that nobody can find. So we have to find ways to maximize our visibility. And I really feel like Facebook ads is a really great way to do that. I do believe that you can kind of tap out, like you said, with how much visibility you can get organically. I think is a good first step for maybe people that absolutely like they're bootstrapping, they have no budget, they have nothing to invest. Okay, great. But once you have enough of a little bit of a budget, which we're definitely going to talk about that later on in the episode, but once you have some ability to invest, I think it's a really powerful tool. And I think it's something that sometimes people don't have the best mindset for. They feel like, well, they're scamming me, and they want to just take my money, which is why they're not pushing my content. Okay, we're all in business, including Facebook and Instagram. Sometimes you got to play the game how you got to play the game, but it doesn't mean that you can't be profitable, and it doesn't mean that you actually can't make money if you're doing it in a smart and strategic way. So I know that you kind of already answered the question that I was going to ask. Do you believe that running ads is a good way to really gain visibility for your business? But I really want to hear a little bit more. I know you mentioned using it for two different reasons, like nurturing your audience and then also like running your best content. Can you just explain that a little bit more for the listeners?
Yeah. So I think one of the things that we need to think about is, what is it in our business that's actually moving the needle, right? Like, what is it that's actually driving sales? For a lot of entrepreneurs, your email list is money, right? Like, there's a lot of people that are like, when you grow your email list to a certain, just consistently growing your email list, you're getting in front of more people, you're able to nurture those people. And, it's so that's one of the things that you can also do with it, in addition to like, taking your content and getting that in front of new people. But it's a great list builder. And so that way you start to build a community of people who, one, you own your list, right? Like that's a thing that we have to keep in mind, is that we don't own Facebook, we don't own Instagram, we don't own these social platforms. And so if you're building your business solely relying on social media, then you're really going to just be you're going to be, at mercy to the algorithm. Like, you're going to be at mercy to whatever Facebook says. Facebook can just decide to kick you off their platform. That's in their terms of service, right? They can just decide to shut you down. I'm sure that y'all have definitely seen lots of pages just get shut down. Like, I've had that happen to me with one of my other businesses, having a page, like, you wake up the next day to log into Instagram and it's just like, oh, you've been logged out because your account has been disabled. And it's like, well, what the heck? So, but if you think about your email list, that's something that you own. That's something that people are giving you consent to, saying like, yes, I'm giving you my email list in exchange for you to be able to tell me things and to stay in front of me and to give me, to give me a freebie or whatever it is. But people are opting in to hear from you. And so using Facebook ads to not necessarily, build your following on Facebook, but using it to get those people off the platform, because that's really a core difference between organic social and paid social. Organic social, like organic posting posting on Instagram, posting on Facebook. The goal really there is to stay in front of your audience, is to get in front of more people, all that kind of good stuff. But ultimately, you're keeping people on the platform. That's why it's free, right? Facebook's not charging you, right, to try to keep people on the platform. But when you think about advertising, our goal is always to get people off the platform. It's always to get people to stop scrolling on Instagram, stop scrolling on Facebook, and go to check out your lead magnet, or go to check out your webinar, go to check out, take a quiz, to get into your marketing ecosystem. And so we have to understand that we have to treat it in that way, right? We have to understand that people need something to go to in order to, to get into our world. So it's about understanding, like, if I take a stock of what actually is working in my business, like if you are a brand and Facebook works for your business, like you're killing it on Instagram organically, ads are just a great next logical step, because then that way you're just like, okay, now I just need to get my content in front of more people, and I can pay to do that, or I can decide to post, to create 17 reels. I can try to, play with the algorithm if you like, or you can invest a little bit of money, and that way you have more control over who is seeing your stuff. You have more control, or you're not just relying on Facebook sending people to your profile. You're actually saying, no, I'm willing to pay you, Facebook, to show this to the people who I believe. So like, if you want to show your content to more small business owners, right? Like you want to show your content to more content creators, you're spending a little bit of money, and Facebook is saying like, okay, like we'll show your stuff to all these people. And honestly, I'm alluding to what you were saying earlier, Facebook wants us to be successful with advertising. I think that's another thing that people are, or have a misconception about, is that, Facebook just wants to take your money. They want you to be successful, because if you are successful, you spend more money. Like that's barely what it is. Like when I was working at Zappos, we were spending a significant amount of money. And so therefore we had Facebook reps that we met with every single week, and they were going into our accounts. They were giving us the best practices. They were giving us the behind the scenes. Why? Because they want us to be successful. Because when we are successful, I can say to my CMO, hey, look how much money we're making from Facebook ads. We need a bigger budget, right? Like, look how much money we're bringing in from Instagram. Like, I need to, I need to be able to spend more. And you do it in a profitable way, right? Like when I worked at Zappos, we had really strict KPIs. So it wasn't just like put some money in and, hope and pray that it'll come back out, right? It was very much like, oh, you putting this dollar in, we need to get $6 back. Like, if every dollar you're spending, we need to get $6 back. And so when I teach my students, I'm really focusing on teaching them how to look at Facebook ads as a long-term sustainable strategy, right? Not just let me put a couple dollars in to try to get a couple dollars out, but it's really looking at, what's moving the needle in your business, whether that's content, whether that's, like webinars, lead magnets, podcasts, all these kinds of things. What is it that's moving the needle in your business? And let's give Facebook some money to be able to take that and to put it in front of more people who we want to see it, to put it in front of more business owners, to put it in front of more yogis, or, if that's your target audience, like whoever it is, you can pay Facebook to be able to put your stuff on a larger stage. And so I think that that's one of the things that we miss, is that we think Facebook wants to just take our money, but they really don't. They really want us to be successful, because at the end of the day, when we are successful with ads and I'm seeing the money come back into my business, then I'm like, okay, well, let me increase my ad budget by, 10%. Let me increase my monthly ad budget by, 20, 30, 40%, because I'm seeing that when I put $1 in, I'm making $50 back. Where I see when I put $1 in, I'm making $10 back. So realistically, if I increase that budget and my performance holds steady, and you have to, test and all that kind of stuff, but then you'll start to see, like, I'm really, really taking my business from, just this kind of one-to-one lead generation to generating hundreds of leads every week, adding those people to your email list. And if you're emailing your list and you're going live and you're doing all the things, really, you're just adding people to what you're already doing. It's not about, figuring out like, how do I do something completely different? It's really just saying like, okay, if your email list works, let's get more people on your email list. If your content works, let's get more people to consume your content. That's really just the basis of, what you're doing with Facebook ads. You're just having to pay for it. and honestly, I would rather, when you get to a certain point in your business when you can invest, like I would rather honestly pay to take my one podcast episode that converts for me and get that in front of more people than to say make 4 or 5 more podcast episodes about the same thing, right? Because then organically, things just die in the feed after a while, right? Like that's the truth of it. But you can have ads that have been running for months and it just continue to get in front of new people. And it's going to that same webinar that converts and gets people into your course. It's going to that same podcast episode that's been generating leads for you, right? So all of your stuff just gets a lot more life, when you're thinking about it in more of an investment state of mind.
That's so good. That was that. Look, like I said, they better have that pen and that paper out. Lord knows if I wasn't doing it, doing the actual interview with you, I would have mine out. So I got to go back and listen and take my own notes because that was really, really, really good. And I love the fact that you said like using Facebook ads as a way to pull people, put them on your email list and everything like that, which I think is really smart. And I want people to keep in mind when it comes to this mindset because I talk so much about your way of thinking and how it can really benefit you in either your growth or, ultimately your quote unquote failure or not achieving the goals that you really set out for yourself. But if we look at any business, we didn't get in business, you know, just to do what we do for free. We got in business because we see a need and we can solve a problem. But guess what? We also have to be smart about how we do it and we can't go broke in the process. Facebook is here to actually assist you. And I love how you really just made that point of saying they're here to help you. They're here to make sure that you're successful. The same way we work with our clients. If they're not successful, we're not successful. I can't go out and help more people if I can't even get the few to a certain point that I promised them. So the whole goal of Facebook is, okay, we know you're going to pull people off our platform. We'll assist you with doing so, but you're going to have to pay to play. But we're going to make sure that you can utilize this in a way that's actually going to make you money. And I want people to think about it like this. If every time you went to the ATM and you put $1 in and you got back $5, wouldn't you keep going to that ATM? And not only about the money, we are doing this to be of service, but if I can reach more people, I can serve more people. I can help more people through my business. So I really want people to just think about the thoughts that they really have wrapped around investing in themselves in this way. You'll invest in a coach, you'll invest in a book, you'll invest in, a master class, but why not really put another way or spend your dollar in another way where you can invest into your business and make it really, really profitable. I want to 10x my income. I don't know about y'all, but I want to 10x my income. So I love
Yeah.
that. I made a post recently. I think it was today, even though this episode won't air today, but it was today when I made the post. And I talked about how God is a God of order and how there is an order to how you grow your six-figure business. So I really want to hear your opinion on do you think running Facebook ads is a smart beginning step for new entrepreneurs? Why or why not? And I ask this question because I've heard and I believe myself that, like you said, you want to put your best performing content out there. You want to put that on autopilot and let Facebook ads generate, more eyes on you and your business. But what if I'm like just getting started today and I don't even really know what my best content is, or I haven't made any sales in my business, so I don't even know if I push this thing, it's really going to do what it needs to do. What would you suggest for someone that's just starting, and do you think they can still be successful with Facebook ads?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's honestly, I think that I sit in a camp that's a little different than some other ads managers out there when, ads, strategists out there, I should say. When I honestly think that when you're just starting out, I think your best bet is organic marketing. I do not think that you should really kind of just jump into Facebook ads right away, unless you're at a place where you have a very large budget, right? Like say, you're a tech startup, you just got some funding and you have to really get results fast. I get that. Like I have clients who have apps and they're building technology and it's really about speed of getting users onto that platform. But putting that aside, if we're just thinking about our online service providers or even e-commerce brands, I honestly think that when you're just starting out, it really pays to understand who your people are, what they care about, and to make sure that your funnel actually works. And so I like to tell people the 3 things that you need before you start jumping into Facebook ads is 1, you need to understand messaging. Like you need messaging that is really going to stick out and stand out to your ideal client. And the way that you figure that out is by talking to people, to be honest. Like you got to talk to people, serve some people, help some clients. Like I used to, back when I really was starting my business, I used to help people for free because I just we've all been there. I'm not telling you work for free, but what I'm telling you is that you have to start to understand who are my people, and you can guess as much as you want. But honestly, until you actually start talking to people and start taking on clients and start helping them, you won't really understand what their exact problems are until you talk to them. Because one thing that we get that we think as business owners, and sometimes we get wrong with our marketing, is the way that we describe something is the way that we think our clients are describing something. Like the problem that they're having might be the way that it might be the same problem, right? Like, taking your business to the next level and increasing your visibility may be a problem, but somebody might not even, but your people might not even use the word visibility, right? Your people might be saying like, I need more PR, or I need more media. But like what is it that they use to describe their problem? You need to fundamentally understand that, because when you're creating ads, that's what goes in the ad. Like a lot of people ask me like, well, what should my ads look like? Your ads should be talking to the people who you are trying to serve. And when you understand what they care about and what problems they have and what solutions they're looking for, then you can create ads, you can create video ads, you can create image ads, you can create copy that speaks directly to them. The second piece is, so that's messaging. The first piece is making sure you understand who your people are. The second piece is having a funnel that actually converts, or I like to call it a customer journey. So all customers have to go on a journey before they're going to buy from you. That the amount of time is going to vary, right? Some people are very quick buyers, some people are very slow buyers, but they have to go through a journey. Meaning people have to go, like I like to describe it as, people have to go from I have no idea who you are to please take my money. And there's a journey that people have to go on, whether that's, people, one, they have to know who you are, right? So they have to discover you, right? And in any kind of way. So once they know who you are, then you have to build that like and trust, right? People have to like you. At the end of the day, people buy from people who they like. There are a million sales coaches, there are a million ads, ad strategists out there. People buy from who they like, period, right? So they have to know who you are, they have to like you, and then they have to trust you. They have to trust that if I give you my money, then you're going to actually get me a result. And the goal of your marketing is to facilitate that customer journey. It's to understand what are the touch points that people have to go through before they buy from me. So like, for example, if you are, I have a lot of people who are in my course who are finance professionals. And so like they're like financial planners. And so for a financial planner, it's like maybe they have to discover who you are, but then maybe they have to download a freebie. Like they have to download your lead magnet, some kind of checklist or something that you have just to start to get them familiar with you. Then maybe they do want to watch your webinar, right? So you have to make sure that you have touch points to say like, hey, I actually have a webinar, right? That you can watch, that you can get to know me and get to know my offers. Maybe they have to sit on your email list for 30 days. So like they're reading your emails, they're, they're coming to your lives, they're watching your content. They may not even be commenting or liking or anything. And that's the thing, we have to understand is that you have people who are just watching what you're doing, right? They may not be ready yet, but they're watching what you're doing. Like I had someone who signed up for the beta launch of my course. And she just was like, you know what? I have been sitting on your email list for like, a couple months. And she was like, I've been reading your emails. I've been listening to your podcast. And then now I'm ready, right? A couple months, like I wasn't ready back then. Like 2 months ago, I wasn't ready, but now I'm ready. And so so we have to understand that that's how people go through on their journey of purchasing. Will people sometimes see your ad right away and buy right away? Yes. Right. But the vast majority of people have to, have a few touch points with you before they get to that point where they're ready to buy, especially if you have a high ticket item, right? Like if it's something that's like, $10 or $20, there isn't a whole lot of thought. It's either, yes, I want this, or no, I don't, right? But if it's something that's like, you have a course, or you have, a program or something that's like $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, $5,000, all of that stuff, people need to know who you are before they make that investment. They have to trust you before they make that investment. They have to like you before they make that investment. And so if you're thinking about, as a new entrepreneur, if you don't know what those touch points are yet, you're essentially just running traffic to something that you don't know converts, right? Like, so even for myself, right? Like when I started my business, really kind of going hard on my business last year. This year, I just started running ads because now I know who my people are. Now I have a funnel that works because I'm playing around with my funnel over the last year. Like, okay, if I put this here, is it this webinar title? What is it, right? Is it this welcome series of emails that goes out? Like, what is it that really kind of, helps people to know who I am and to start to build that know, like, and trust so that they can see like all the past content I've created, all the lives that I've done that are relevant for them, right? So really like, as a new entrepreneur, I would challenge you to hold on to your coins for a second, right? Just hold those coins and just save up for when you want to advertise, because ads will be there, right? We don't like, if you don't have to like, jump in before you're ready. And so that's kind of like my perspective as a new entrepreneur is like, take the time to invest in the organic marketing, because then it starts to pay off over time. Then you start to see your growth exponentially, because when you start with Facebook ads, you're not going in saying, I don't know who my people are and I'm making ads to who I think my people are. are, rather than kind of, saying like, I have the data, I know who my people are, I know that they, when I get people into this workshop that I convert 50% of them. So let me make sure I send people to that workshop, right? So once you start to understand that, then the success will definitely pay off a lot faster. And it'll be less expensive, because in the beginning, if you're just starting out, it's going to be a lot more expensive to try to figure out who your people are and to figure out what the messaging is and what the funnel is, all that kind of stuff. But if you just hold on to it for a second, figure that piece out, and it may, and I don't know if there's a specific time frame for you, because maybe you're someone who figured that out really, really quickly. Maybe you're someone who, like me, took it a few months of playing around and twisting and figuring out this and trying that to actually figure out what actually works. But either way, Facebook ads will be here. They're not going away anytime soon. I know people, like to think that Facebook is dying, but it's really not. But once you figure that stuff out, then you'll see your ad dollars go a lot further and a lot faster once you start to figure out who your people are.
That is good. I like all of that. And it makes complete sense. I think sometimes people, first of all, I like how honest and transparent you are. And I love people that are more about the success of the people that work with them than just getting people into their programs before they're actually ready. Because guess what? If I have 1 million people in my program, but only 2% of them actually see results, like, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So
right. And I would feel terrible. I'd be like, what do you mean you're not getting results? Like, I have, people who are in my beta, who are in the first round of my launch for my course, and they're emailing me like, oh, can you help me with this? I'm like, absolutely. Like, send me the emails. I want to know what the welcome sequence looks like. I want to, because I want you to get a result, right? I want you to be successful. Because it, I just want you to be successful. I guess that's just what it boils down to. I want you to be successful. So I want to be honest and transparent.
Right. I'm going to have you repeat yourself one more time for me, because it cut out completely. So I made a little mark so I can go back and edit it out. But I know you were saying that you have people on your email list.
Yeah. So, yeah, I get people who have gone through and who've bought my course, and they send me emails saying like, hey, because I have a Facebook group that goes with my course, and they're like, hey, can you check this out, or can I get your opinion on this? And I'm like, absolutely, because I want you to be successful, right? Like, if you're saying like, I'm getting the leads coming in, but I'm not converting the sales, I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about that. Like, send me the email, send me the stuff so I can look at it and give you some pointers, because at the end of the day, I don't want to be able to say like, oh, I had 1 million students go through my course and nobody made any money. I want to be able to say like, hey, like, I had 10 people go through my course and 6 of them are now 6-figure entrepreneurs, or 6 of them have doubled their revenue, right? And so I want to be able to say that the majority of my people who are going through my course, who are doing the work, actually do get the result. And so I try to be as honest as possible, as that, and like I said, like, if you are someone who is a new entrepreneur and you're looking to jump in ads, can you be successful? Yes. I'm not going to say that you can't. I'm just going to say that it's going to take you a lot more. It's going to be a little bit more expensive for sure for you to figure it out than it is for you to just take that energy and put it into organic marketing, figure out what works, and then take the money and put it into ads.
Yeah, I completely agree. I've been doing this for so long, but I now truly understand the importance of messaging, of knowing who you're talking to, and not jumping the gun before you're ready, And I think if somebody is a person that does burn out quite easily with creating content, like I said, I'm finding new ways to really create bulk content and things like that. Like, get that right first, maneuver however you need to maneuver. But the moment that you know who you're talking to and you see some traction and people are actually responding and they're hearing you and they're seeing you, now take that and run yourself a Facebook ad, which really leads me to my next question. Once they're actually prepared, they got their messaging down packed, they know who they're talking to, they already know kind of what converts well for their businesses. How can they really get started if they don't have a huge budget? Like, what is, and I don't want to say the bare minimum, but really the bare minimum to see some type of success with Facebook ads, but maybe I don't have $1,000 a month to really put into it.
Yeah. Now, I like to say that I teach my students to have a minimum of $500 a month to spend. And the reason I teach that is because I believe that if you're looking at a 30-day span, or like a 30-day month, I believe that if you're spending at least $15 a day, one, that works out to be about $450 a month, $500 a month. And so spending like a minimum of $15 a day definitely gets you, it gets you enough volume so that you can start to see what's working. Because I'm not the ad strategist that says $5 a day is going to cut it. Can you get results for $5 a day? Sure. But you're going to move incredibly slow. and you're not like, because if you think about like how Facebook ads kind of structure budget and how you're paying is really you're paying for impressions. And so your Facebook is going to give you a cost per 1,000 impressions. So let's say like, if your cost is like $5 cost per impression. So it's saying like for $5, I'm going to show your message to 1,000 people a day. So 1,000 people isn't really that many people, right? Like it's especially if you're thinking about when you're in the beginning of your campaigns and trying to figure out, because Facebook is just trying to figure out like who are the people, like who's responding. It's showing it to different people. It's trying to get the people to get the best result, and it's building a profile of people. And so if you're spending $5 a day, you're only hitting 1,000 people a month. I mean, you're only hitting 1,000 people a day. Or you're only getting 1,000 impressions a day. And so if you're thinking about, spending $15 a day, then you're getting like 3,000 impressions a day. You start to get results faster. You start to get those numbers in. So that way, if you're looking at like 3 to 5 days of running ads for like, minimum $15 a day, after about 3 or 4 to 5 days, you should be able to say, is this working or is this not working? Right? Like if you're spending $5 a day, it's going to take you at least, like I would say, at least a week or at least 2 weeks to be able to get the volume to be able to say, is this working or not? And so that's why I like to say $500 a month. Can you do it for less? Yes, you can absolutely do it for less. Like if you're saying like, hey, I only have $250 to spend right now, spend the $250, right? Because either way, whatever dollar you're putting into Facebook, you are getting data back. So you will start to see like what creative is actually, hitting with what audience. And you'll start to, and it starts to just give you more data. And so that's why I like to tell people that when people say like, oh, I don't want to waste money on Facebook ads. And I'm like, if you're being intentional with your budget and intentional with what you're doing, you're not wasting money. You're gaining data. You're able to kind of like see like, what is the messaging that's hitting with people? Is it resonating with people? Or am I getting the right people into my funnel? So all of that comes from actually starting, right? Because there's like, as I mentioned earlier with building an audience and stuff like that, it's like, you can guess at who your people are, or you can actually start to really kind of figure it out. Just same thing with ads. You can create a campaign that you think is going to work. There have been plenty of campaigns that I've built at Zappos that I was just like, this is going to work. This is going to be amazing. Look at this creative. And then it tanks. Like it just falls flat and it doesn't work. Because at the end of the day, you have to start. You have to actually put the money in, put the creative out there, start to analyze the data, start to, receive all the signals, make some changes, make some optimizations, and then you start to see things kind of, even out and take off. I have a client who, we started running ads in December. She has an app and so she's really focused on getting, volume and people to sign up for the pre-launch of this app. And so we started running ads in December. And when we started, we were getting, 10, 15 leads a month. 10, 15 leads a week. But then as we started to receive the signals, as we started to say like, start to tweak the audiences, start to tweak the messaging. Now we're at the point where we're getting, 300 leads per week, right? Because we took the signals and we're trying to, and so it really boils down to like taking like, that $500 is what I recommend as a minimum. Or if, you have $250, you have $250, right? But taking a little bit of money, putting it into the algorithm, and then also making sure that you're receiving the data and receiving the signals, because set it and forget it does not work, right? There is no way that you're like, okay, build this campaign, you put it out there and you don't have to look at it ever again. You can do that, but then you're gonna have a lot. Your costs are gonna be high. You're not gonna be making as much money. You're not gonna be as efficient with your budget. But as long as, regardless of what your budget is, whether you're spending $5 a day, you're spending $15 a day, you do have to make sure that you are looking at what you're doing and receiving the signals. And as long as you're doing that, then you're not wasting money. You're just gaining that data. Because what happens is a lot of times people are afraid of that beginning piece. Like they're afraid of putting the money in and not seeing that immediate return. But if you give yourself some time and you're saying like, okay, you know what? I'm committed to Facebook ads as a long-term sustainable strategy, and I'm going to commit to it for at least a couple months to see like, and make sure, and in that commitment, you're committing to looking at the data, analyzing what's going on, making some changes, adjusting things here and there. In that commitment, then you start to see things pay off over time. That's when you start to say like, you know what, I'm getting 10, 15 times my money back because I've taken the time to really kind of invest in figuring out what works and what doesn't work. And then you're just playing up what does work. And then you're increasing your budgets over time. That's how you do it efficiently. That's how you make sure that you're doing it intentionally. Because when you're intentional, just with anything in life, right? The more intentional you are with whatever it is, the better results you're going to get. And Facebook ads and your marketing, I would say, is no different. When you're being very intentional with what you're doing and you're getting the signals and you're receiving the data and you're making changes, that's when you're really, really going to start to see things take off.
Yes. That leads me into another question because my brain is always spinning. And you talk so good, and I'm learning so much. But I do have a question that I think the listeners would be interested to know. And that's when you're actually getting started with running the Facebook ads and you're looking for data, how do you know exactly the audience to target and what type of data that I want to piggyback off that question. What type of data do we actually really need to be looking for?
Yeah, yeah, it's a great question. So, targeting is something that I think people are overcomplicate. And it because there was a time when your targeting was the most important part of your Facebook ads. When we got to, I'm not sure, I'm sure some of your listeners have heard of Facebook's iOS 14 privacy update that came out a few years ago. That really kind of, essentially, if you think about the privacy update, Facebook is able to, and I know you can't see my hands, but I talk with my hands. But Facebook kind of like, there's kind of like the iOS 14 update kind of put a wall between Facebook and its users and the Apple users, right? So if you think about Facebook on one side and it's, you're a user, you're receiving, Facebook's receiving all the data and, kind of tracking what you're doing online and tracking your behaviors and habits and that kind of thing. Apple has decided we're going to put a wall between who, so that Facebook can't see exactly who that person is. It gets the data, so it's able to see, still tracking what you're doing, but it's not able to tie that data to an individual user. And so why that's important is because now targeting has just become a little bit harder to actually really fully paint a picture of who you're going after. But honestly, it made it easier, I think, for us advertisers because Facebook is now always, pushing broader targeting. So you don't have to say, in your targeting that I'm targeting moms of toddlers that are 2 years old, that are yoga teachers, that also are vegan. You don't have to do all that, right? You don't have to put these tight constraints on it. But maybe what you want to do is target yoga, or you want to target, a broader, or maybe you really don't put a whole lot of constraints on your targeting anyway, because now our targeting has shifted from become more technical to being more creative. And so really when you're thinking, that's one of the things I teach my students in my course is that your creative is your targeting now, because this iOS 14 privacy update really kind of, wiped out the ability to technically target people. You have to give Facebook's algorithm space. And so, things that I see, audiences that I see work are like lookalike audiences of your email list. And so lookalike audience is essentially like you telling Facebook, here's a list of my email subscribers. And Facebook is creating a list of people who have similar behaviors. So it's broad, right? It's not like you can't, I'm not telling people that I'm not telling Facebook that my people are, vegan yoga moms who have toddlers, but Facebook is building a profile of people based on the people who are already on your email list. Those kinds of things work. Broad targeting. So targeting, small business owners as a really broad audience and letting your creative do the finding of the people. And that's why messaging has become so much more important, because before you could just say, hey, watch my webinar, and you could get a whole lot of people to sign up for it. Now you have to actually tell people why. Now you have to demonstrate your expertise. Now you have to connect with people, to make sure that they understand that you understand the problem that they're having, and they're not going to waste their time to jump on your webinar if you're not giving them a clear problem that you're going to be solving by the end of that webinar. And so thinking about targeting, like take a step back from the technical targeting piece of it and more so reframe it to being the more creative targeting. So putting a lot more effort into the actual creative the ad creative. So like the copy that goes with the ad. So like the headline, the body copy, the actual video ads that you're creating, the actual still images that you're using, taking the time to put more in it, to have more of your attention focus there, and then making sure that your technical targeting is broader, so that way Facebook can do the finding of people, right? So Facebook is going to show your creative to a bunch of people, and then they're going to start to build a profile of who's responding. And you may think it's yoga moms of toddlers that, that are vegans, but really it's probably, moms who like yoga, but they have they have kids that are ages 5 to 7, or they have kids that are ages from 5 to 15, right? Like, so we think that we have to put this technical, really hard targeting within Facebook, and, which we used to have to, but now with iOS 14, with kind of changes of the platform and changes of people's, consumers' behaviors have also changed over time. Now it's about being less technical and being more invested into the creative that you're putting out and letting the creative kind of do the targeting per se, quote unquote.
That actually gives me like a big, huge sigh of relief, to be honest, because I have, like I said, I played around, okay? I played
Mm-hmm,
around with
mm-hmm,
Facebook ads, but I've heard people in the past, and this was prior to everybody was talking about the iOS update, but saying like, you really need to be like picking all of these different categories down to, income
mm-hmm,
and location and all of these different things, which I have a brick and mortar also. So I think some things do apply. Like, of course, I
yeah.
can target people in a certain area because I want them to come to my store. But
Mm-hmm,
that gives so much relief that you don't have to have like this very, niched way of identifying a person. You can actually go a little broader and, like you said, focus more on the creative elements like the messaging and the imagery, and things like that to really pull in the people. And I
mm-hmm,
don't believe too. I never liked the concept, to be honest, of knowing someone's, all their demographics and psychographics, all of these things. I get that
mm-hmm,
it plays a part traditionally in how business is taught when finding the people that you want to serve. And I think it does give you a general idea. But I really can't determine who God is going to send my way for me to
mm-hmm.
assist them. Who I thought would be my clients look nothing like who I actually have to this day. They're different
Yeah.
ages, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different types of business. I thought I was only going to be helping one specific type of business. Like I can't determine and really say, okay, I'm only looking for these type of people because like I truly believe that God has people assigned to us. And I don't know who half of those people look like. Even with my brick and
Mm-hmm.
mortar, I thought it was only going to be like, women coming between the ages of like 25 to 40. We get old men, we get young men, we get Asian women, we get we just get all kinds of people, primarily because it's a spiritual shop. So of course everybody needs a little bit of love. Everybody needs some healing and some God in their life, but it was not at all what I imagined it to be. So I like kind of like the pressure being off of I have to figure out who this perfect person is and I can have a little bit more freedom and flexibility, but I need to understand my messaging and to really clearly articulate the problem to them and that I am the one that has the solution, that I
Yeah.
see them, that I hear them, that I know their needs and here's what we can do about it, come into this thing, whatever it may be. So I really, really like that. I do know that sometimes, even with myself, I've gotten really overwhelmed with the techie part of
Yeah.
setting up Facebook ads. Like, I know a lot of my clients, they don't even really want to just go into like designing their content. They don't really want to go into, updating their website. So, with dealing with all the techie stuff like pixels and everything like that, is that something that you support your clients with your course or whether one on one? And what advice would you give so people just don't get completely overwhelmed and just, kind of throw in the towel?
Yeah, it's honestly a lot of people get overwhelmed with the tech, and it's honestly been a lesson for me because I'm a very tech savvy person, and so for me, the tech doesn't trip me up. But even like, I'm able to kind of jump into a new tool and kind of figure it out, or like watch some YouTube videos and figure that piece out. And so it's been a learning for me as a teacher to understand that, even though the tech comes easy to me, it doesn't come easy to everybody. And so one of the things that I do, like in my course, the first module of my course is the tech, because my belief is that once we knock out the tech, then we won't have to worry about it no more. Like, because if you think about like setting up your pixel, once it's set up correctly, you don't have to worry about it. Like as long as it's receiving the signals, then you'll be fine. And when I tell people what a pixel is, just to, how to illustrate that is if you think about a pixel is just like a bridge. A pixel is the bridge between Facebook and your website. And so Facebook's going to send people to your website and it needs to understand, are these people taking the action that you as the advertiser want? So if you are sending your people to a landing page, right, for example, to sign up for a webinar, are the people that Facebook is sending there actually signing up for this webinar? Yes or no? That's really what the pixel is looking for. It's like, what are they doing? And so that's why it's important to have that pixel there, because then Facebook can say like, oh yeah, like I sent, Ashley to the website and she went ahead and signed up. But then when I sent Paul to the website, he did not sign up. So let me find more people like Ashley. That's really kind of like, a very basic level of how the pixel kind of operates. And so us as the advertisers, we just have to make sure that Facebook can get the right signals. And so in the first module of my course, we walk through all of the tech. It's like how to set up the pixel, how to make sure that your conversion events are set up, how to even set up your business manager to make it look like so that you can make it so that you can read it. Because there's another thing, like you're looking at your ads and you're like, what numbers should I be looking at? Like, and so I tell people like how to set that up so that you only see numbers that are relevant to you and your business. And then I walk through like how to know like what metrics and stuff are relevant. So like, if you are an online business and leads is your primary goal, your cost per lead is going to be important. Your conversion rates are going to be important. And so it doesn't have to be a whole lot of things. And then even when I think about audiences as well, like I give my clients a list of 10 audiences to try. You don't need 200. You do not need 400 different audiences to test. You really just need to focus on these 10 core audiences and just figuring out like, how do I make this one audience work really well? Okay, great. Now that I've got this audience to work really well and I know what creative works, let me take that creative and try it with another audience. And that's how you kind of like really kind of, I try to take the complicatedness out of it and understanding that it's not about saying that you have 10 different, 20, 30, 40, 50 different audiences or different campaigns running at the same time. Like one of my clients was getting that 300 leads per week. We have 3 campaigns running and we've only had 3 different iterations of creative. So like, we had some creative when we started, took a look at the signals, had a new round of creative, took a look at the signals, and now we just launched a new set of creative that jumped us from getting 100 leads per week to now 300 leads per week, because we're just looking at the signals. Like we're just looking at the data to say like what's working and what's not working. And so there's like a whole module in my course about analyzing and optimizing. So what numbers do I need to be looking at? How do I make optimizations and changes? How do I test? Like how do I structure a test? Like where do I start with those kinds of things? And so I like to think that because I've gotten the signals from my audience that the tech is overwhelming, that I try to make it as straightforward as possible to tell you only what you need to know. Because there's so much you can do with Facebook, and there's so much that I had to learn, being on, a side of working at Zappos and having all these, strict KPIs and things that we had to do. Like I know the Facebook platform inside and out. But you don't have to. You just need to know how to build a lead generation campaign and how to build a sales campaign. Like you don't need to learn how to build all the different objectives, really, if you're boiling down to what you would actually be running, it's either sales campaigns or lead generation campaigns. That's it. And so, so I try to take the complication out of the tech. But then I do understand that even though I am very tech savvy, people can ask me tech questions all the time, and I can try to make it, I try to explain it in a way that would help people understand as someone, even if you're not as tech savvy as me.
Yes. Well, let me just be the first to say thank you from all of us for simplifying this stuff, because it really can't go completely over our heads. It can be really tough. So I like how that's the first thing that you really tackle. I always say do the hard stuff first. Let's go ahead and
like once you knock that out, then you don't got to worry about it no more. Once a pixel is a pixel is a pixel. Like yeah, install it and then let's move on. Because the more complicated, like figuring out the messaging, I find that stuff more complicated, right? It's because it's like, and then I try to make it, less complicated by giving my students prompts and, worksheets to fill out to kind of figure out what the messaging is. And like, the second module of the course is about strategy. And so before we even start building anything, it's like we have our tech set up, we know the strategy, we've, created our creative, and then we start building stuff. Because the building of the campaigns, I think people think it's more complicated than it is, but you set up a lead generation campaign, regardless of how you're running it or what the objective is. The way that you technically set it up is going to be the same, right? The thing that's going to vary is the messaging, is the creative, is the audience. Those kinds of things will vary. But the way that you set up a lead generation campaign in Facebook, or the way that you set up a sales campaign, is going to be the exact same if you're doing it correctly as anybody else. But you just have to make sure that the nuanced things like the creative and all that kind of stuff, those are the things that I find a little bit more complicated because it is so much more nuanced. But then I try to break that down in a really simple kind of way so that my clients are like, because messaging doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated. But as someone who's a seasoned business owner, you can start to figure, who your people are. You just need someone to help you to get it into into an ad format. And really, I try to teach really good marketing through the lens of ads. And so if you are really good at marketing or you understand your marketing, then translating that into an advertising or translating that into an ad should not be as hard for you as someone who's kind of starting out in their place. I have no idea who my people are. I don't know, what funnel converts. I don't know where to send people. That's why I mentioned really making sure that you understand those things first, because when you understand those things, then it's just about taking that and translating into an ad. It's not about reinventing the wheel.
That's really good. I wonder, and I would like to hear your thoughts. What do you think someone needs to get started with a Facebook ad? Because I know you mentioned like, you got to have the creative aspect. So I know that if I already have, kind of things down packed organically, I can be pulling from all of that stuff. I can be pulling,
Mhm.
photographs and all kinds of things, different videos and stuff like that. Do you think it's okay to just start with that? Or do you think people should also be like creating new stuff to put like imagery and doing more photo shoots and more product shoots and that type of stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question because I think that repurposing content is definitely something that we need to be doing for sure. And I like, for example, one thing I just did is I have a reel that, so I go live and then I will use a tool called Descript to cut down my lives into reels because I'm like, that's a 15-minute video. I take that and clip it down into like 10 different, reels. And so recently I had a reel that's been getting a lot of good attention. It's about Facebook ads. It's getting a lot of attention. And so I took that reel and I added it to my ad campaign and now it's doing pretty well because now it's like, but one of the things I would say with repurposing content is about making sure that your content is actually actionable. Because that's the thing, as we were talking about a little bit earlier, the difference in organic and paid is that organic social, the goal is to kind of keep people on the platform, but with paid, it's always to get people off the platform. So it has to be actionable, meaning like you have to be telling people like, go do this thing, go watch this webinar, go sign up for this freebie, go download this checklist, right? Because you can't just assume that people are going to go and do it. Even if you do have a call to action button there that says sign up or learn more, you have to make sure you're telling people to do that. And so when you're thinking about repurposing content, not necessarily looking at it as, oh, this post went viral, so I'm gonna, run it as an ad, but does that post actually tell people what to do next? Is it actionable? Is it about the person and not about you? Is it like, what is it? Is it really, really focused on movement? Because that's one of the things, we think about with Facebook ads. It's about movement. It's about moving people off the platform and then getting them to our ecosystem and then moving them from the beginning of the ecosystem from newbie to sale, right? It's always about movement. Marketing is all about movement. And so are your posts that you're repurposing moving people, even when you're thinking about podcast episodes that you're repurposing that you may want to run ads to? You want to start with run ads to the podcast episode that actually converts for you or that actually drives leads to your business, right? Like, you can take a new podcast episode and put it out there and test it and all those kinds of things. But if you're thinking about a starting ground, I would definitely start with what works. And so like, I'm about to start running ads to my podcast because I really want to start to test this funnel out and really kind of figuring out like, how to get more downloads and more to really drive leads and get people on my email list from my podcast. And so I'm about to start testing a couple of things that I have outlined in the course for people who are content creators. And so that way I can build more of a case study around it and start to, add a little bit more color to it. But really it's about, again, just figuring out like, is it actionable? Is it driving sales or leads? Is it getting people is it creating movement? And then if you're answering those questions with yes, then yeah, then you want to go ahead and repurpose that and run ads with it.
That makes perfect sense. And it does save a lot of headache. Like I don't have to go out and create all this new stuff. I really can just be pulling. And if I want to, okay, but I don't have to. And I think that's a part of too, like kind of cutting down on the budget. Like we don't got to have a whole new brand new photo shoot and I got to get, hair, nails, outfit, all and do the most.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the ads that I'm running now, I have, one of the ads that I'm running now is just a headshot. Like it's something that I did a photo shoot last year. I had braids. Like I don't even have braids anymore. But it's still relevant, right? Because it's a great quality photo. I'm like, I haven't done a new photo shoot yet, but I like to, repurpose some of those things. Like I've posted that image a bunch of times organically. Like I've used that image to put, as the still image for when like I'm posting content and stuff like that. And so these headshots, they get their money's worth. Like I've been using them over and over and over again, and now I'm using it in an ad, right? And so even though like, my hair is different, like whatever, like it's okay to repurpose and use those things. Like it's still me, it's still my content, it's still my face. But just because I don't have braids doesn't mean I have to wait till I get a photo shoot with my hair like this. Use what you got, but just make sure that you're being, again, intentional with what you're doing. And so you're understanding that just because it's a pretty picture, like even like I think about like lifestyle images, for example, if you have a lifestyle image that is very focused on you at the beach and not focused on moving people to the next step, or like you have a reel that's just about like, a vacation recap, that's probably not something you want to run an ad with, right? Because that's just about you and about your vacation, right? It's not about creating movement and moving people to the next step. So as long as you're being a little bit more intentional with it, I think that you'll be fine to just repurpose stuff, but just keeping in mind that this is an ad, and the goal is to get people to take an action off the platform, and we have to tell people to do that.
Makes perfect sense. And actually, that's how I came across you. Is through an ad. So obviously, y'all, she know what she doing. Okay, she came floating right across when I needed some help with Facebook ads and the business.
See, that's what's about.
Okay,
Yeah, because it's like because we could go into our Facebook and see like, oh, are we connected? Do we have mutuals in common? But like you said, you saw me through an ad, and it's about creating that messaging that resonates with your target audience, And so yeah, it's about that. And like I said, that image that you saw was repurposed. Like my hair, like I said, it's not in braids anymore, but it's still working and it's still being used and it's actually converting really well.
it was a good photo. It stopped me in my tracks. I said, "Wow, she looks beautiful." And before I even knew what you were talking about, the photo stopped me in my tracks. And it's not like something that's like sexy or anything like that, but I think it's you sitting and like you said, you had your hair done, and I think you had a laptop in front of you, but it caught my attention in a way that it made me
Mhm.
stop. So I think that's, important for people to keep in mind. It's not just any photo now. It's something that makes sense for the thing that you're trying to actually
Yeah,
push people into, but it's also going to stop them in their tracks, essentially. I
yeah,
definitely have heard before, and I'm guilty as charged, that we should not be, using just to boost our ads on Instagram. We should really be going into the ads manager and doing things properly. Now, granted, I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to going into the ads manager. So I have boosted certain things. Have I always gotten results? No. Have I maybe once or twice? Yes. Like I did a free virtual conference called Faith Activated. And I got a lot of people into that. Now, granted, I don't know if those people primarily came from Eventbrite or saw the Instagram ad that I boosted. I don't know because I didn't even know how really to track my stuff. But we did have a good result with the signups. We did all, I had 75 signups. It was 75 things filled. But I haven't gotten great results like that, like on repeat. Like I can't replicate that because I don't think it's enough for me to really duplicate my results or even understand. So do you think that's why really Instagram, like boosting an ad may be okay, but it's not the most effective way to really grow?
yeah. I'm so glad you asked this question because this is a question that I get all the time, and I need to definitely talk about it a lot more because I'm realizing like I keep getting this question, so I need to create some more content about it. But here's what a boosted post is essentially you telling Instagram or Facebook to show this ad to people who are more likely to engage with it. So when you think about when you're starting with building ads, Facebook is going to ask you what your objective is. When you're in Business Manager, it's going to ask you what is your objective. And because Facebook knows so much about us, it has the ability to kind of bucket us based on our behavior. So it knows if someone is more likely to go to a landing page and sign up versus someone who is more likely just to double tap on something and keep scrolling. Versus someone who's more likely to go to your site and buy something. And so those are called objectives. So you have like sales objectives, you have lead generation objectives, you have engagement, video views, you have all types of different objectives. And so based on that objective, Facebook is going to say, okay, let me show this ad to people who are more likely to become a lead. Let me show this ad to people who are more likely to become to purchase something. And why that's relevant to boosted posts is because boosted posts, the default objective for a boosted post is engagement. You do not get to pick boost a post and say, I want to get leads. You don't get to boost a post and say, I want to get sales. It's only going to be engagement. And what engagement is comments, likes, and shares. And honestly, engagement don't pay the bills, right? Like, yeah, I want people to, you want people to see it. I would rather people go to my page and convert than to people double tap and leave a like or leave a comment, right? When we're thinking about advertising, like I said, we're talking about paid advertising. We're not talking about organic. But so with a boosted post, like as I mentioned, you're only going to get likes, comments, and shares. And so like you were saying, like, yeah, will you get some results? Yes, sure, you may get some results. But you're going more likely to get better results and more replicable results and more consistent results when you go into Business Manager, which is just business.facebook.com, and you actually build your ads there. Because there you get to tell Facebook, hey, I want sales or I want leads or, and then you even get to tell it like, you get to use more creative. So you get to say like, hey, use these 3 different ads. Instead of a boosted post, you can only use exactly what it is there. You don't really have a whole lot of flexibility when it comes to audiences. Like it gives you a few audiences that you can choose, but when you're in Ads Manager, you have a whole lot more audiences you can use. Within Ads Manager, you can use custom audiences, which is your email list and those kinds of things, or people who visit your site. So you have a lot more flexibility and you get more long-term replicable success when you actually go into Business Manager and build your campaigns that way, versus just going and saying boost this post and just show it to more people. Because like you said, will you get sign up? Sure, you'll get some sign ups, but like I said, you're more likely to get people who are gonna go and sign up when you're using the lead objective, or you get more likely to get purchases when you're using the sales objective. And honestly, like this comes from me testing it. Like I've tested, running millions of dollars worth of sales campaigns, worth of these other kinds of using different objectives. And my tests hold true to what Facebook also says, that like, if you want leads, run lead generation campaigns. If you want sales, run sales campaigns. So those are the things that I teach in my course, because those are really the only two things you're going to be doing. Like 99% of my campaigns at Zappos were sales campaigns, right? They were not, we didn't do a whole lot of, let's get some video views. We didn't do a whole lot of, DMs. Like, cause you can run ads. Like if you're someone who closes sales in the DMs, you can run ads to your DMs, right? You can run ads and say, have people respond to you via DM. So if that works for you and that's a strategy that works for you, then great. You definitely want to do that. But the vast majority of what you're going to be doing is either running lead campaigns or sales campaigns. So definitely stay away from the boosted posts, and just go into the back of Business Manager, which again is business.facebook.com. And you'll see a ton of different things that you can do. And you'll really start to see how limited you are when you're looking at the boosted post kind of workflow.
Yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree. And I do want my results, I want to duplicate them. I want to be able to really know what it is that's working and what's not working. And I think boosting a post just does not get you there, but the avoidance of actually doing it the right way, or what would get you the most results, comes from the overwhelm. So thank God for people like you that have just broken it down so well for us and put together something and package it very well, so that way we can go in and actually start to see some success with growing our businesses. So thank you for showing up and giving God your yes. Okay. And I just love how all of your experience and all of your gifts just really combine to really create something so powerful. So that's really, really dope. One thing I really do like to do is show people the possibility, what's possible for them in their lives. So can you just tell us a little bit about the success, whether, it's from, the bigger companies or with your clients or within yourself, some of the success that you've seen from people that have ran an actual Facebook ad?
Yeah, definitely. So I'll give you a couple of different examples. So one, I would say, when I was at Zappos, one of the campaigns that I loved doing, that was one of the campaigns that I was doing towards the end, one of the bigger campaigns I did towards the end of me leaving, was so Clueless, the movie, like the old school movie Clueless, had did a exclusive line with Crocs. And so they had like these, Cher Crocs, they had some Dion Crocs, and it was a Zappos exclusive. And so our objective as the whole marketing team was to sell out these Crocs, because we wanted to really show that we could move exclusive product. And so that campaign was a combination of using influencers. So we were running ads with influencers. We were running ads from influencers' handles to make it look like it was from the actual influencer, which is something that you can do within Facebook. And it's something that you get permission from the app, from the person to do, right? You can't just do it. You have to actually get their permission to run ads from their account. So we had the permissions. We were running ads from their account. We were using the creative. We were running just like regular sales campaigns. We even at that point, we did do a little bit of lead generation, because we were doing some pre-launch stuff where we were running ads to get people to sign up for the exclusive drop via email. So like the email was going to come out a day before the campaign went live. And so we were running some ads to get people like, hey, sign up for the email list to make sure that you get it early. That campaign, we literally sold out of, I believe, the Cher Crocs in like a day. Like the whole line ended up selling out within like 48 hours or something like that. Like we gave it a week, and we were like, really, really low on inventory on like the Jibbits, the Crocs, all the different, because it was a whole line. And so that was very successful, and it was the brands loved it. Like, it was something that our team, loved, and all that kind of stuff. And we learned so much from those campaigns, because even when you have a successful campaign, you're always learning. And so that was one of the things that was just really exciting, is just to be able to have all hands on deck and to use advertising, or use our social ads to really kind of amplify what we were doing. And so everything was working together cohesively. And then we ended up selling out the product line. And that's something that is very, very doable for anybody, right? Whether you're launching, whether you're an e-commerce brand, whatever it is, like, when you start to be really, really strategic with how you're using ads to amplify what you're already doing, and to take what you're doing to the next level, then you start to see those kinds of results. And then on the other side, I would say, like, for a more relatable answer, I have someone who I've been working with for a little while, and she's been running ads. And she has an app that's like, going to be like, LinkedIn for diverse tech professionals. And so our goal right now, as the app is being developed, is to build a wait list. And so we've been running ads to get people onto this wait list. And we went from, like, last quarter, we added 1,000 new leads to her list last quarter. Our goal is to get to 10,000 by the time the app launches, which has been pushed back. With tech, we know it's some stuff that gets delayed. So the app's been pushed back a little bit, but now we're at a place where we're at 6,000 people on her wait list, and her app is coming out in a couple months. We just got to this month in May where we have started to we launched some campaigns in the beginning of May based on what we've been learning these last few months. And we expanded it to different countries, different audiences, and that kind of thing. And so now we're at a place where we went from getting 100 leads per week to now we're at getting like 350 leads per week. And it's very cost efficient. She's spending like $1,300 a month. So don't think she's spending a whole lot. She's spending $1,300 a month. And now she's getting 300 leads per week added to her wait list. So that way, when the app actually comes out and launches, we have people to launch it to. We have people who can get on the platform and, start to use it and that kind of thing. And that helps her with fundraising. That helps her with, with all these other kinds of things that she has going on to help to build this LinkedIn of diverse tech professionals. And so that is something that is very, very, again, doable, especially like if you have a startup and you have some money to be able to spend, or you're at a place in your business where you do make money, where you are almost at that six figures, or you're right over that six figures. So you do have some disposable income, or you have some profit that you can reinvest into your business. And if it's, taking $1,300 a month and putting it in and getting hundreds of new leads to your list every week, if your email list is converting, you can start to really kind of backtrack what the math is going to be on that. Like, if you know that you send out emails, and, you get 10% of those people to buy something from you every time you send out an email, adding hundreds of people to your list every week is going to exponentially increase your business, because you're already emailing your list, you're already going live, you're already doing all the things, but now it's just about getting a lot more people into your ecosystem. And so, like I said, that is something that's very relatable. She's spending, $1,350 a month. Our cost per lead right now is at like 61 cents. It went from being like $3, from averaging about $3 to $2.50 for the last couple months. And then when we took those learnings, we launched a new fresh set of creative. We launched them to some new audiences based on all the data that we've gotten. Now that cost per lead has dropped from like $2.54 to 61 cents. And so now her budget is just being spent even more efficiently. And so now she's just getting more and more people onto her wait list. And it's funny because she told me, she was just like, yeah, I had somebody who from our ad, he reached out and we actually had a call, like, because he's like, I'm really, like, I love what you're doing. I want to be involved. Like you said, you saw me from an ad, right? You saw me from an ad, you reached out, and I'm like, yeah, definitely, I would love to be on your podcast. And so it creates these other opportunities that you don't even see, right? And, that you don't even know are kind of working, because you're increasing your visibility, because you're willing to put yourself out there, and because you're willing to say, like, hey, I have something to say. It's amazing and it's impactful, and I need more people to be able to see it. So those are definitely some of the results that I don't want anybody to think that anything is unrealistic of what I said. Just because I worked at Zappos and we had a lot of money to spend, right? It's still about being very intentional with what you're doing. And when you're intentional with what you're doing and you're taking a look at your ads and you're learning and all that kind of good stuff, then you start to really see that stuff kind of pay off. So if you can backtrack to figure out, like, if I add 1,100 people to my email list in one quarter and backtrack your conversion rates, then you'll be able to really start to figure out, like, oh, this is really what I can do for my business. Like, and spending like $2.50 or, and trying to be efficient with your cost per lead is possible. But like, you can really start to see what kind of numbers you can do in your business, but you just really have to commit to the process. That's the thing that people don't want to commit to. They don't want to commit to the beginning of, getting that 10 leads per week to be able to get to that 300 leads per week that we're getting just 4 or 5 months later of testing and constantly figuring out what works.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the same thing, that when you're building a business, that first initial getting started is where people tend to drop the ball, unfortunately. So when you commit, when you go all in, you're like, listen, I know it may take however long it takes, but I'm willing to commit. You have no choice but to get to the result, because you're continuously moving towards it. And I like how there's this snowball effect. that happens, it's like, okay, we're getting started and then we're learning. And it's the same way in business. We figure out certain
Mhm.
things, then we optimize, then we begin to scale, and we begin to perfect certain things, our products or our services, our offers, whatever it is, over time, and we can end up getting some really, really great results. And I want people to keep in mind that even when you're first trying to get to your first six figures, even if you're halfway there, say you're pulling in 5K a month, if you said that they can start with $500, that's a 10. That's a 10%
Mhm.
of what you're bringing in. 10% is pretty normal for a marketing budget. That's like pretty average out here in these
Mhm.
business streets. So think about it like that. Okay, am I willing to just invest 10% into growing and 10xing my results? And I bet once you really look at the data and once you just continue to improve things over time, imagine what 1,000 new leads can really do for your business, especially if you already have something that converts 50% of the time. So you're getting a
Yeah.
thousand people and 500 say, I'm going to buy your product, your course, your service, whatever it is that you do. 500 extra customers right now is looking real good to me. You know,
Right.
so
Exactly.
I tell
Exactly.
people think about it like that. 10% to double down on what you're already doing that can just
Mhm.
create so much for so many people, that not only allows them to just really create more impact, but now really create the lives that they desire to have. I tend to
Yeah.
be a very cheerful giver. Me and my husband went out last night for date night, and I was like, I look forward to the day I could be one of them people on YouTube that's giving the waitress $1,000. Like right now, I
Yes.
can't do it.
Right.
Right now, sis trying to get a house, but at the same
Exactly. Exactly.
I
But
look
eventually.
forward to the opportunities to really give in that type of way and not feel the weight of it. So it's not
Yeah.
just about us. I want people to realize, like, you're doing something for other people, you're doing something for yourself, but it's just this domino effect. And when you can do something as simple as being strategic with running ads and things like that, now you can just create so many more opportunities that come for yourself. And
Mhm.
I love how you mentioned the fact, like, I found you on an ad and somebody else found one of your clients. You don't know what God got waiting for you when you get more visible. So you really need to
Mhm.
put yourself out there and figure out a way to do it really smartly. So this has been just so good. And I'm like, I got to go back. And when I edit this, I'm going to be taking my notes. But I really want you
Yeah.
to tell everybody, like, what support do you provide? Because I know you've mentioned your course. So I think that would be really, really, really dope for people to get into. Hold on, I'm going to repeat that because my husband's walking in with my squeaky door. So before I let you go, I really, really want you to just tell people how you can support them even more. I know you mentioned your course and everything like that. So tell us a little bit about what you have. I know you also mentioned that you have a free workshop. Like, come on now. Who don't want to get in that
Yeah.
after they didn't heard all of this juicy information? So just tell people a little bit about the support that you can really provide for them.
Yeah, definitely. So I have a course called Maximize with Ads, and it really gives you the exact roadmap to being successful and taking your business to the next level with ads. And the way that I teach volume. I teach people how to I'm not teaching you how to get an extra one, two, three sales per week or one, two extra leads per week. I'm teaching you how to get hundreds of new people onto your email list every week. And once I get to thousands, I'm gonna teach you how to get thousands of people onto your email list every week, because it's really just about creating more volume and more visibility for your business. And so that's really one of the things that I focus on with my course. And so it's really designed for people who they have like a course, a digital product, a one-to-many offer, something that you really need volume for. So that's really who the course is for. And yeah, so that's why I have. So I have the course there, but then I also have my free workshop. It's called Maximize Your Money: How to Exponentially Increase Your Sales with Facebook Ads, and that gives you the step by step of like, what do you need to have in place before you can put your sales on autopilot? How do you layer Facebook ads into what you're already doing? Because that's another big thing of what I'm teaching, is that it's not just about looking at Facebook ads as another marketing channel, but it's really looking at it as a way to increase visibility for what you're already doing. So you're already creating content, you're already doing your podcast, you're already doing your workshops. So how do we use Facebook ads how do we layer Facebook ads into what we're already doing to then take everything to the next level? So that's what the workshop is about. And definitely want to make sure you check out the workshop. You get all the details about the course and the workshop as well. So head over to stacyzeal.co/maximize, and you'll be able to watch the free workshop. You'll also be able to learn about the course and all that kind of good stuff there. And then you'll be able to get on my email list, so that you can really start to get to know me. I go live all the time. I post a lot of content. I'm always try to be very, very visible. And then you could also, if you want to also check me out on my podcast called Roadmap to 1 Million, Roadmap one word. Roadmap to 1 million. And that is where I expose all of the marketing secrets, the strategies, all the things that, people need to really know to take their marketing to the next level. Because marketing is something that I love to do. It's something I'm really, really good at. And so I love to teach. And I really do feel like one of my purpose is to teach and to really pass information on to people to help them to understand, like, how do I do what I'm doing better? How do I make my dreams come true with, with the different ways that you can do apply marketing to your business? So yeah, so definitely check me out on my podcast, Roadmap to 1 Million. You can head over to the site, stacyzeal.co/maximize to watch the workshop. And you can also find me all on these social streets. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. And so I post a lot there, and it's at stacyzeal.co on all the different platforms.
That is wonderful. Definitely going to check out this podcast, honey. I'm going to be listening to it on my walks while I'm doing laundry, all of that, because I need to absorb everything that you're teaching. And I want people to really, really go check out the free workshop. I believe it's truly, truly going to benefit them. And definitely get in the course. If you need help and you're ready, get the support that you need, okay? So this has been phenomenal. I do, before I let you go, have to do my 5 Boss Baddie truths in 5 seconds. So it's just 5 rapid fire questions, and you have 5 seconds to answer. Your answer doesn't have to be 5 seconds long, but you only got 5 seconds to think about it, okay? Okay. Normally I have them written out, but we are just going to go and roll with this thing, okay? And to explain what a boss baddie is, it's just a woman that is a boss and an entrepreneur that is beautiful inside and out. Her energy is beautiful. Her presence is beautiful. And she is just really shining her light in a beautiful, authentic way and serving people in an impactful way. So I'm going to get started with the first question. And the first question would be, if you had to consider yourself any type of friend, would you consider yourself, and I'm talking about at a party, would you consider yourself the twerker, the two-stepper, or the hype me up friend?
I am definitely the twerker. Totally the twerk. I am always like, I love to go out. I love to dance, but I like to dance by myself. Like, I like to have my little bubble where I can just do my thing, So yeah, I love to dance.
Have a combination of all 3. I try to keep it.
Probably, honestly, because I'm the hype friend too. Because I'm like, if you hype your bestie up, yes.
Okay, the second question would be, and it's a little more personal, intimate, because this podcast is called Biz and Breakthroughs. But what's one thing that you overcame recently, or that you are healing from?
A long-term relationship, getting out of a recent long-term relationship and reconnecting with self. That's that's pretty much the journey that I'm on right now, is reconnecting with who I am, what I bring to the table, and being able to prioritize my own voice. So that's definitely a big piece of my journey right now.
That's really good. And I love that. I love the transparency. I want people to remember that we are all going through something, honey. And I come up here and I tell almost all of my business, okay? We are all healing from something, but I want people to know that you can still be just shining so beautifully and everything, and still doing the work behind the scenes. So thank you for sharing that with us. My third question would be, what is something that you are reading or actively learning right now?
It's funny. I'm trying to think of, I have so many books. Okay. So there's one book that I'm reading called Homecoming. And it's about this journey back to self. So that's like more personal books. I try to balance like reading a business book and a personal book. The business book that I love is We Should All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rodgers. Her ecosystem, her world, her marketing is amazing, and what she does is awesome. And so I've read her book, We Should All Be Millionaires, like 3 times. And I always get something new from it. And so I'm definitely about to start it again. Another one I was also considering starting is Atomic Habits. Because I did start that one. I didn't finish it. But I started it, got a lot of great information from it. So even if you get through the first couple chapters of it, it's really, really good with helping you to structure how to create really good habits. And so because as entrepreneurs, right, how we spend our day, how we spend our time is so important. And we have to make sure that we're balancing that time of self-care time and, being productive. And so that's one of the things for me, I'm very much good at go, be productive, but slowing myself down and actually inserting those habits that allow me to reconnect with self and allow me to, ground into what I'm doing and feel like alignment is big for me. And I'm not someone who's just going to do something just to do it. It has to feel right for me and it has to feel good. And I will pivot until I get into alignment. And so having those habits built in and that taking that time allows me to ask myself, am I in alignment? Am I, or is the way that I'm spending my time the way that I want to be spending my time? And is that working with me and my spirit and all that kind of good stuff? So those are definitely some great books that I'm reading.
Yeah, that's really good. I have to agree. I've read Rogers' book as well, and I'm not one to really reread a book. And I want to like, well, it's an Audible. Let me just throw that out there.
Yeah, me too. That's Audible. Yes.
But I'm not one to ever listen to like the same thing twice. And I'm like fiending and like so thirsty to go back and listen to it again. First of all, she makes me
Mhm.
want a nanny, a dog walker, a chef, and all the things.
Right?
Okay.
Exactly.
This is just
Yes.
so fulfilling to my heart and spirit. You speak my language, ma'am. Like I really like what she has
Literally.
going on. I love her curly hair. I just think she's phenomenal. I mean, I've
Yeah.
definitely heard about Atomic Habits, but now I'm really gonna have to go actually listen to it because I didn't really realize that it would just provide all of that. I'm all about alignment. Like if I know that
Mhm.
some things are here to make us uncomfortable and to stretch us, but I don't believe that I should be like on a wrong path, if that makes sense. Like I
Yeah.
should really be
Yeah.
doing life in a way that feels good, unless I'm just
Mhm.
like learning a lesson or, going to my next level or something like that. So I think that's really dope. My next question would be, what is your favorite like go-to hot girl song right now?
I have been still listening to Renaissance by Beyonce. So I love all things Renaissance. Let's see what else. I mean, I love Cardi B, so whatever she comes out with new music, I'm always like, team Cardi B, and I love Meg Thee Stallion and all of them. So I love music. I love to dance. So if you give me a good little beat, I can give you a two step, and I'll be in there.
Yes, I think it's good. I think everyone should have a healthy balance of music. I've been really getting into the space of just growing deeper in my relationship with God. So I've been listening to very clean, and I found I did a post about it, some new R&B worship music that still makes you
Mm.
feel a little bit like, okay, I could vibe with this, but I still get a
Yeah,
chance to worship. So I've been keeping it very
yeah,
clean. But when I do have my act up moments, I do like a little bit of Cash Doll. I do like a little bit of
yeah.
Nicki. It just depends on my mood, even a little bit of Meek Mill. Sometimes I go hard, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That I'm
Yes,
a Boss song with Rick Ross still be on repeat on my playlist. Okay, so I am so
definitely.
here for it. And my final question to you, because we do have to leave people with some type of breakthrough, even though I'm sure they've gotten a million already. But what is one thing that you would tell another woman to give her a breakthrough?
I would definitely say it's okay to pivot. As I mentioned, I am a serial pivoter. I am someone who I'm not afraid to start something. I'm not afraid to try something new. I'm not afraid to invest my time and my money and my effort into learning new things and to trying and starting new things. But then I also had to be okay with understanding that just because you start something doesn't mean that it has to be last forever. Doesn't mean that the way that it starts is the way that it has to stay. So like for example, when I first started my business and wanted to leave corporate last year, well, I mean, I started my business before that, but I left corporate in 2021, and I had a traditional Facebook ad agency. I was running ads for people, and I realized that that wasn't in alignment with with the impact I feel like I was called to have. Like being behind a desk is not the impact I believed I was called to have. I really believe that my impact comes from teaching, it comes from being on stages, and it comes from taking the information that I've learned and being able to distill it down to people so that they can take it and then get a result with it. And being running ads for people kind of locks you into only working with your clients, and only, it really kind of put me feel like I was in a box kind of just behind the scenes. And so I really kind of like completely shut the whole agency down, like, gracefully shut it down, I'll definitely say. But then I pivoted and I had to figure out like what's next. What do I want? Like what is the thing that I'm called to do? And so that's how I ended up eventually pivoting into this course. Is like the course gives people all the knowledge that I have, but then I'm able to show up for them monthly with our strategy sessions. I'm able to really kind of help guide people, and I'm able to be in front of people like doing podcasts like this and speaking opportunities and all those kinds of things. And so I would definitely say like if you're someone who is a little stuck, really just kind of taking that moment to figure out like what about this feels like it's out of alignment. Because I found that when I'm changing like one or two small things at a time, it's like, okay, I don't want to be behind the scenes. I want to be in front of the scenes. Okay, cool. How do I do that? How do I make my business model more so focused on me being the teacher and the leader and the visibility rather than being someone who's behind the scenes running the ads? And so that took time, and it took, some sitting and some stillness and some, all that kind of stuff to figure out like what is it and what's next. But I was okay with having with making the decision to pivot. And so that's why I would say, like, if you're gonna pivot, make that decision, figure out what it is, start with something, and then just pivot until you get to where you feel like you're in alignment. And I finally feel like now I'm in alignment with what I should be doing. So now it's like, now I put my foot on the gas because I'm like, I'm in alignment, I feel good about what I'm doing. Now it's time to just take things to the next level.
That's really good. I'm a true believer in that too. I mean, I've made so many wrong turns that I have no choice but to know how to pivot, but I do it
Yeah.
with such like a flexibility behind it. Like, oh, it's okay if I have to start over. I may grieve a little bit and, be a
Yeah.
little upset, but I'm like, you know what? It's going to be all right. We're going to start over and we're going to get this thing right. So I think that
Yeah.
really is, and I hope someone really takes that if they are struggling to start over or to pivot in a different direction. You don't have to hold on to things so tight. Like, God is constantly redirecting us so we can go and elevate and be our best selves and create the impact that He has called us to create. So that was a word in itself, honey. Okay. So I hope y'all wrote that down too. But I just want to thank you for your time. This has been absolutely phenomenal and has been filled with so much information that I think is really going to just help people have a better understanding of how to really grow their six-figure business utilizing Facebook ads in a really smart way. So, of course, I'm going to put all of your information in the show notes below. Make sure you guys go follow her on social media, get into her free workshop, get into her course, okay? Show Stacy some love. Thank her for showing up for us because this has been absolutely wonderful. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I want to thank you guys for listening to another episode of Biz and Breakthroughs. See y'all later.